but overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like actions speak louder than words. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman, and tonight, extra special guest for you. It's the man, Bindles. Welcome, Bindles.
How's it going, brother? Thanks for having me.
We're doing great tonight. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm ready to draft a super team. I feel like our vibes, we're just going to get in here and draft a real killer of a team. We're going to take down this tournament, the big board, tonight. I know there's some of the homies in the chat already pretty psyched to be here for this extra late night edition. And yeah, man, thanks for coming on. I know it's real late for you on the East Coast as well, so I just appreciate you being here, and I'm excited to rip this draft.
Of course, man. Yeah, no, I've been trying to connect with you for a while, and yeah, nothing going on. So perfect night.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, and I've been catching some of your Dynasty content lately. That's been popping, man. That's some good stuff. I really liked what you did when you were going over some of like the latest values for players, like worth 3 first or 2 first or kind of a late for, all the different combinations with some really, I think, sharp stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I'm deep in the Dynasty game. Ferris, who I did a best ball stream with, and did the Dynasty stream with. He is a guy I met. There's a great community in Dynasty as well, and I met him 3-4 years ago when I was just getting into it, and just been consistently one of the guys that is the sharpest. So I have a few buddies that I Dynasty trades or whatever's going on. I kind of have people to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
And he's an esports agent, I believe. So he's his set, he knows how to get the setup and everything set up. So yeah, man, I'm going to try to get some more guests on for the Dynasty stuff. And I'm in Ontario, so I can't draft myself. So always fun to
thoughts and prayers for our fallen comrades in New York, Ontario, and others.
RIP. Yeah. No, it was crazy. I think it was 2022. It was a while back in Ontario. And I was going back and forth between there and Michigan for a while. And I do sometimes now as well. So I still could draft sometimes, but now I'm pretty much in Ontario most of the time. So it's
gotcha.
Gotta get it the way when I can get it. So
were those balcony streams coming from Ontario?
They were, yes. Well, they were, but I had a ghost drafter with me. Was the crazy part is all last year when I was streaming, I wasn't even the one clicking the buttons. I always had someone else doing it for me. So had to make it. Well, honestly, it was I had the whole channel set up. I had done some streaming before with Emo Cowboy, Mathology, some other people. And then I really decided last January to go hard with it. And then I figured out in that time frame after I had got everything set up that I couldn't draft anymore. So gotta be resourceful. Yeah, I guess.
That's how it goes. I think one of these days soon, hopefully we'll have a underdog, have a breakthrough, and we'll get you back in there. But in the meantime, we can draft this one tonight. It is I can't do great math, but it's like I think I've done 66. My goal was to do about 50 big boards. I think I did somewhere between 30 and 40 last year.
Okay.
I've already maxed a little. I've done one biggest, one bigger. And then now I'm just kind of getting in some extra big boards, just the cherries on top. And so the goal here is to push the limits. We're going to build a super team together. We're going to see what we can concoct and try to get lucky, try to get some uniqueness, and not just draft your standard, teams. We're really going to try to get something that makes everyone jealous that we were able to get. So that's our
Ooh,
goal. I think I'm like 1 for 4 on drafting these super teams. I've done it like one night. Um, but we'll see what we can get into.
let's do it, man. Yeah, these late night drafts are always super plus EV in my experience from, whether
Yeah.
I'm watching or doing them. So I'm excited to see what we can build.
All right, guys, let's hit enter now. We'll get in this one. Fingers crossed. No technical difficulties. Ooh, draft started immediately. I see
Great.
some of your names though. I got Little Miss Brady in here. We got myself in the 5th spot. Who else was able to make it in? Dang, that one snap filled. Might be some guys in the overflow room, but
Oh no.
yeah, say what's up if you're in here and you made it into this. I see Little Miss Brady. We got one at least.
So how's H-Town treating you? I was there actually a couple months ago visiting some family, and I had a connecting flight, and I met Emo Cowboy. He was a very very good host for me when
Oh,
I was
nice.
there for the short layover. I was there, but had never been there before, and still really haven't, other than just getting some pho with him. But
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. And I still need to link up with him IRL as well, and on stream. We got to do that real soon. Houston's it's been great, man. It's getting pretty warm right now, but spring's a good time, and yeah, just holding it down. That's funny you said that. A lot of people, they really haven't been to Houston. There's not really a great reason to come here unless you got family here or you live here. It's not really like a vacation spot, but it is kind of a connecting flight spot. So that I hear that a lot, which is
exactly.
pretty funny. So typically, how have you been kind of playing through the first 5 or 6 picks? I think in my mind, there's the wide receiver tier 1, Chase and Jefferson. We'd be lucky to get either of them at this point in this tournament. But how do you think of kind of that next tier of those elite running backs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much just going with ADP. I think I'm lowest on Saquon of the three. I just think it was the perfect combination of the Eagles were leading in pretty much all their games. Obviously, Saquon ran very hot with long touchdowns, which I mean that's to be expected with him, but I mean super super hot. And no injuries. So I think that's like right 3 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily think you're probably it's a good bet to probably get 2 of the 3, but to get 3 of the 3, and then shit can always go the other way as well. So
Definitely.
still going to take him, but not as high as on him as a Bijan and Gibbs. And then
Okay.
yeah, pretty much just going with ADP in the first round. I don't want to get a huge bag of anyone. I think Jefferson. Well, here he goes. Here he goes, 102. But I
Yeah.
think that would be the one that I would pull up above some of the running backs if I were to get heavy on anyone.
I've got a little heavy on Jefferson. I'm
Yeah, I think that's a
15%.
good.
Shout out to bestballoverlay.com. Somehow I have a little bit smaller of a bag of Gibbs, so I'm happy to go there. You good with that click?
Yeah, let's rip it. I'm a Detroit fan, so
There we go.
happy to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of Detroit, what do you think they're kind of? I mean, have you thought about like their draft needs coming up and how they're going to spend some of their earlier picks?
All defense, brother. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping for. I think obviously they lost Ben Johnson, but I don't think it'll. I think maybe their floor and ceiling as an offense, just with not as good of a coordinator, will be affected a little bit. But I think median outcome, it's going to be pretty much the same. Obviously, you still have the same talented weapons for Goff. Good O line. Not really too worried about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think probably edge rusher round 1.
Yeah.
They
Good
addressed
ed class.
yeah, they addressed cornerback in free agency, so I think they can shoot for the moon with whatever guy falls to them at the back end of the first round. And then second
Yeah.
round, same thing, probably like D tackle or corner or something like that. But
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm looking at a mock and it's a little dated, so I'm sure things have changed. But I have a mock pulled up that I reference. There was a 7 rounder done on March 30th, and it really just gives me an idea of where these teams are as I kind of roll through the rounds. And I'm seeing, Detroit going either for an edge or a D tackle at the end of the first round, potentially doing something similar at in the second round. It looks like they've got one pick 60 in the second round, unless I skipped one. But I think this could be a really good opportunity, a good draft for them to shore up that defensive line and that edge. So
Yeah, I
could
mean,
work
they
for
just
sure.
got so unlucky last year too with all the injuries. So I mean, even if they just run hotter on not getting absolutely destroyed.
What up, Vape? What up, Emo? What up, Hartman? Appreciate you all for being here in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you throw me a like. I appreciate that. I got a 100 subscriber goal, and then we're going to rip like a 4-hour mega stream, might even go 5 hours long. It's either going to be to close out the big board, or it's going to be the start of Best Ball Mania, because one of my other goals is to, when Best Ball Mania first opens, is to kind of just rip, at least 8 to 10 drafts in that first 24-hour period. So I might as well stream some of them. I think it'd be real fun. And yeah, that's what we got going on. Other than that, I think this is a pretty straightforward draft so far. A little bit of a surprise seeing Jamar Chase go 3. Everything else looks just about right. Drake London goes. That's probably someone, AJ Brown or Drake London, I would have liked to have gotten there. I'm either McConkey. I'm really high on McConkey, or maybe T. I'm also a little bit lower on Achan. Any push there from the man Bindles?
I'm fine going Lad.
Yeah,
I think just build wise, I
just build
definitely
wise.
I'm a Achan bull, so I'm still pretty high on him. McBride as well. So if we had taken a wide receiver in the first, I would have been inclined to go that way. But just with Gibbs, I don't want to start. Not really 2 RB start guy unless it's really really sexy. So
For sure. Pulling up my team combos from Best Ball Overlay. Looks like about half my teams actually have Lad with Gibbs. So, not getting too different to start out. Like Bindles was saying, following ADP for a bit, and then we'll have the opportunity to later push either some quarterbacks or some other stacking options, or just kind of get different and maybe pull some players up that we really feel strongly about. I know Bindles is been grinding on these rookies. He's got some takes that I'm sure we'll get into. I'm interested to hear more on some of these rookies that you're either kind of fading or fired up about.
yeah, man, we're close to the draft. I'm excited to finally get these landing spots for both Dynasty and for Best Ball. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good values right now at rookie, and I think that's probably the way to play it with the big board, right? It's like these guys have a chance to be absolutely huge risers and late season hammers. So let's see what falls to us.
Definitely. It's crazy. I mean, Lad McConkey was a rookie last year. He's good in the second round. You could say the same kind of about the 1-2 turn, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors. Of course, they crushed it, and it's more of that outlier season. But I mean, is it because we had Puka the year before as the rookie doing it? It's like year over year, we keep seeing, I think, especially at wide receiver, guys that just fit really well into a scheme and an offense and then just smash. And it's like, how you have to go for some of these guys. I'm not saying it's the team that's going to like win necessarily, but it just, there's so much upside. It's like, you got to be going after it. And the market is getting smarter to that. I mean, Lad in the second round of sophomore year, probably riskier than just going with like a veteran, someone who's been there, done that. But at the same time, we're playing for upside, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Lad. I agree he's probably slightly overpriced, but I do think it's like that's the thing that everyone says, and I do think he has. I mean, they didn't really bring anyone else in. It's just him and QJ
Yeah.
and what is it, Tyler Conklin and Disley at tight end. So I think he has pretty high target ceiling, and even if they do bring in another person, I think whatever, just Herbert can support a pretty big season, and I still think just the profile of him coming in, like people are underrating. I think he could definitely finish higher than we think. So while I don't think
Right.
the true ceiling outcome is like a Neighbors or something like that, like number one wide receiver overall, I think it's pretty high. So, you want to go McBride or DJ Moore? That would be my lean there.
That's where I'm leaning. I do have a lot of both of them. Happy to go either way. I'm thinking maybe a little bit DJ Moore on this one, and then maybe get lucky at tight end, kind of in the middle of the board. Just structurally there. I think I do want a little bit more exposure to the Bears. I feel like it's a team that it feels like I'm drafting a lot of them, but when I check my exposures here, I'm not that much higher than the field. And then I think about kind of stacking at least what I can control. I can stack into a division a little bit, so that NFC North with Chicago and Detroit, that could be a way to play it out and start to build around those two teams. Obviously, Detroit's powerhouse, and then the Bears are going to be gunning for maybe a wild card spot. Trying to get some more wins. They had kind of I think Caleb had some bad touchdown luck last season. I think his potential on the ground and with great weapons around him, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze in his second year, potentially they're going to draft a running back at a high draft pick. This could be a really intriguing situation for a second year quarterback. And, I think that's something I want a part of on a lot of these teams.
Yeah, as a dynasty bro, I still have a lot of hope for Caleb. Obviously, Ben Johnson, that's huge. Getting the O-line beefed up is huge as well. And I mean, yeah, just it's like akin to like whatever, a toolsy guy in baseball or a really athletic guy in basketball that just hasn't put it all together yet. But I think the situation was terrible. And he just does stuff that not that many quarterbacks can do, just from like a physical and it's Mahomesian in the way that he does stuff. I'm not going to obviously comp him to Mahomes 1-to-1, but just not that many guys can do that. And pair it with a good system and good supporting cast around him. I think, yeah, I definitely agree with you that want to get more Bears in my life.
I was bummed before our last pick. I like DJ Moore. I would have liked to have gotten T. Higgins. He almost fell to us in the third round. I've been even taking T. Higgins in the second round. And then right before we just are about to go on the clock, I see Hampton going at pick 41, another guy that I'd love to get, around pick 44.
That would have been nice if he would have fallen to us for sure.
So ever since Pat posted his recent hating on Chase Brown video, the tombstone on Chase Brown, I feel like I'm going to fade him just a little bit more. We're going to go maybe an anchor build. It looks like could be nice on this part of the board. So I'm thinking Odunze could be good. We could do Tet or Jameson. Would you want to do Jameson, or do you think Odunze is the way to go?
Let's go JMO.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I'm glad we got that.
I mean, I'm fine. We still have outs to both
yes.
Detroit and Chicago.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm a little bit lower on Rome than I would say ADP. It's not that I think he's bad, but I do think we're doing a little bit of the JSN thing where we're just like getting rid of the coordinator. So just throw out the rookie year. But I mean, I don't know. It wasn't great. I think you got to trust the draft capital a little bit with him. So I'm fine. I want to be probably about around 8%, but not a my guy for sure.
Yes. Interesting. Yeah. I think he's kind of priced at a really expensive point, where you've got workhorse backs, you've got running backs in high tempo, high scoring offenses. And then you've got these veteran wideouts like a Devonta Smith, who's proven, maybe misses games because of injury or things, but it's kind of priced where Odunze has to produce as a wide receiver 2 or 3 for fantasy in round 4. It's pretty expensive. If he falls in round 5, I think he's a little bit better of a value, because you can by that point you're already going to have one more or 2 more skill position players or wide receivers. So I do like Roma Dunze, but Jameson Williams is a player I'm definitely underexposed to. And I mean, with those spike weeks that we started to see really come out last season, it's like that's something I want on a super team, a guy that can break the slate, as they'd say, for DFS. So Jameson's starting to show that. I know he's a kind of a younger prospect as well coming to the league. He had that ACL tear as he was coming in his rookie year, and so he's a little bit behind, slow to start, and maybe he's starting to pull it together.
Yeah, agree with everything you said there. I think Kittle, honestly, I know that's a little bit above ADP, but I think that's a good range for Kittle as well. So definitely
Yeah,
would have considered that.
would have been a good pick in round 5 for us there for Kittle. What do you think about the teams? So I noticed that the draft in the 2 spot pulled up Lamar Jackson, and I assumed he's going to be trying to stack with Zay Flowers. He nails it, gets that. It's an interesting build so far. I think one thing that I've been trying to emphasize on a lot of my teams, and maybe it just didn't fall right for us on this one, was especially if you get a wide receiver, an elite wide receiver in the first round, try to pair them up with an elite QB. That way, you're not forced into stacking Justin Jefferson with McCarthy. Obviously, you have to pay it for Joe Burrow anyways. So maybe an alternative is to stack him with like a Jalen Hurts, guys like a CeeDee Lamb. It's pretty easy to get Dak much later, and at that point, it's not terribly overpriced to invest in your second QB. Around pick 125 or so or later. With Puka, kind of the same thing. Stafford goes late, and so I see. It's not super unique, but I think it's something that I like to do. Just the way it fell to us in this draft, the elite QBs went pretty early, and I don't think there's a reason for us to go Burrow here. So T-Mac, as they call him, I've got a lot of exposure. I'm pretty in on him. Where else do you think we could go with this one? I'll pull it up by ADP. We can
Yeah, I
take a
don't
look.
mind Tet or honestly Travion Henderson.
Ooh,
I feel
you
like
want to pull up Henderson?
yeah, let's do that.
That's fun.
I think I mean obviously like I said I can't draft, but I was talking with I believe it was Emo Cowboy talking about how I wanted to get more of him.
Yeah,
I mean I think we've been getting some buzz. He could sneak into the end of the first round, but I think there's a lot of teams and good landing spots there in the early second round as well. And I think I think he's a guy we look back next year and he's like a 2-3 turn pick or something like that. I think he just has a very fantasy friendly skill set. So I still think he's a little bit undervalued. So don't mind pulling him up here. And nothing against Tet. I think he'll be fine. I don't know. I don't know why he's kind of getting some hate right now. It's a little bit of prospect fatigue, I think.
yeah,
I still think he's going to go pretty high. Obviously, even if Golden or something goes above him, I don't really care that much. Still, Tet is a very good prospect, and I think he's fine here as well. So.
definitely. Yeah. So landing spot wise, have you given some thoughts to Henderson? Some of the spots maybe I've heard people talk about or have seen mocked would be maybe the Commanders, maybe the Bears. I don't know if he's the right style of running back to fit what the Bears would be looking for. But another team that would be looking for a running back early on. Do you have any landing spots, any wish casting there where he might go?
I think those two are the dream for either one. I think those would be great. Yeah, the Bears have an early second round pick, and I think they're super live to take whoever it is. And I feel like with kind of Swift being kind of not falling out of favor there a little bit, I feel like the Bears, and whether it's Roshan or another guy they bring in later as the kind of the early down David Montgomery role, and then having Henderson in the Gibbs role
Yeah,
would be absolutely beautiful. So
that'd be very interesting. I'm almost embarrassed, but I'll go ahead and show you my Swift exposure. 12.7%. And according to chat for about the last week or two, I'm a complete idiot. So happy to dial that one back. But I've just found, a guy who put up 1,300 plus yards last year. And maybe he's the RB2 and they draft a rookie that kind of takes some of the workload, but he still goes in the range where RB2s are going, goes after Charbonnet. He goes after or around Jordan Mason, after Jordan Mason these days. Guys that are probably RB2s as well. But yeah,
now that he's fallen, I don't. Now that he's
Yeah,
fallen, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I agree with your points. I think he's also a guy that just people love to hate. So
sure.
but no, I think like that's a fine range. And yeah, maybe they draft more of a Judkins type, right? Where he's more of an early down grinder type akin to Demont, and then Swift can get some passing game work and still give you contingent value there as well. So I think it's fine. And who knows, maybe they draft a guy in round 4, round 5 or something, and Swift is still the starter. So
I think we've got a decision here to make around if we could obviously we don't want Montgomery, maybe not obviously, but I don't think we want Montgomery. You know, Najee is a pretty popular pick. Laporta could be nice for the way we've played out Detroit right now and really slam on Detroit. Or we can go Jaden Reed and mix it up, another divisional player. What are your thoughts?
Let's go Laporta.
Yeah. I need more anyways.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have to hammer receiver for a little bit with my Travion Henderson pick there in the
I think
fifth.
we're in a good spot, right? I like because we're on the turn, at least not directly on the turn, but we're close enough to it. The teams in between us and the next pick, I would assume J-Kens is going to take a receiver or two. Benz might be happy where he's at. Maybe just takes one. Same thing with Cognition. I guess six pence could be taken. But, maybe we'll get lucky. We'll see who falls back. Maybe Jaden Reed falls back. Something was said in the chat that was hilarious to me. Chris was saying how quickly we go from I want more Bears to Rome Odunze's overpriced. 100%. I'm in the moment, just flowing with it. But at the same time, I feel like getting DJ Moore, it could be nice to double stack with Rome. It's a lot of capital up front on one team in that spot. Maybe we can do something later, or maybe we end up not necessarily getting Caleb and it doesn't work out, but we can pivot to Goff. But I think that's hilarious because then we were talking up the Bears, and then Rome Odunze's overpriced.
I'm just a little bit of a Rome Odunze hater, so that's okay. On me. That's on me. I'm not gonna don't put that on.
I have a soft spot for Rome Odunze because he torched my Longhorns about a year plus ago in the college football semifinals. I went to that game in New Orleans. It was so fun, ups and downs, roller coasters. Washington was winning most of the time. Michael Penix Jr.'s throwing bombs down the field to McMillions, to Dunze, to Polk even. And that offense was just shredding up what I thought was one of the best defenses, the Texas defense. And so I got to see Rome Odunze tear him up there, and I was like, yeah, this guy's good. But, at the same time, there's a lot of wide receivers that hit last year, and he was not one of the most impressive. So for a deep class, but also like a top heavy class, he's still got something to prove, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily hate the player. It's just the price when you can still take, I mean, like Godwin, if he's healthy, I think just is going to, projectable volume wise, at least. He was like the wide receiver 2, right, in points per game. I think that's a bet I'd rather have. I lean Egbuka or Burden here. Rookie upshot. Don't mind Pickens either if you want to push the.
I don't love Pickens. I don't know who their QB is. I don't know what DK Metcalf does there and takes over. What I would think Egbuka would be the fun pick here. I've got a good amount of Burden because of my biggest board, and so I'm happy to kind of spread it out. I've also got a ton of Matthew Golden bags, a little bit of my Homer favoritism there, but I think Golden's good. I think he's a real clutch player, but at the same time, I'm high on Egbuka too. It's funny, we talked, at least the community's talked about, this draft class isn't so great for wide receiver, but the more I look at mocks and I looked at Dane Brugler's The Beast and I look at how many wide receivers are in the top 100 prospects, it's like there's actually a decent amount. Maybe it's not the quality of receivers that we saw in the last class last year, but there's still going to be some good, I think, NFL talent in this draft class at wide receiver. What are your thoughts on kind of the couple tiers that we're looking at there?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely want to be drafting all those, right? Hunter went before us a little bit, but want to be drafting Hunter, Egbuka, Burden, Golden. Those would be the main ones until later. But I think, you want to be taking these shots because if these guys even get round 2 capital, that's huge, right? For your CLV and just for kind of the end of season upside. So I think it's a pretty solid class in the first tier. I think where it's lacking a little bit in my eyes is kind of like the depth. So I think I think we were comparing it on a stream a couple of weeks ago to kind of like when JSN, Flowers, QJ, and Addison all went back to back to back to
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Um, I think I view a lot of these guys similarly to kind of that range of prospect. So I think it's fine there. It's more when you get into the round whatever, like round two guys, like Jaden Higgins. I'll definitely I like him in this format, but like I don't think he's the strongest prospect. I can definitely see where that archetype kind of fails, and yeah, some other guys where I think they're getting pushed up a little bit just because there's not super strong prospects in kind of that second and third tiers. So yeah, I wouldn't discount. I think everyone's kind of saying that's a talking point is like this wide receiver class kind of sucks, but I don't necessarily think that. And I definitely think the guy we took, Egbuka, is also kind of not flying under the radar. I wouldn't say that, but just being at Ohio State with all the high quality prospects around him kind
Oh
of
yeah.
just gets overlooked. And I
Oh
just
yeah.
think he's super pro ready, super safe, and kind of similar to an Addison type a couple years ago. Not from a archetype perspective, but just like people kind of viewed him as not super high ceiling, but he's
Right.
just a really good player that is gonna score points for you. And another thing with Igbuka is he's very similar in the actual play style to kind of like an Amon Ra or Chris Godwin type, which I think actually is, as we've talked about those two, a pretty high ceiling archetype. So I think he's being a little bit underlooked, and I definitely think he's a great value where we took him. So I prefer him over Burden.
Yeah.
Golden, you can make a case for, but yeah.
So one thing I saw here, Hawkinson falls, 10 picks, 8 picks past ADP. We've got our tight end already. Maybe he's not a perfect fit. That we do get some of that NFC North correlation. Do we want to go with 2 QBs here, grab Caleb first and come back for golf, or do we take golf first?
Um, yeah, let's go Caleb first.
Yeah, let's push it. I think where the Amon-Ra drafter was on the other side of the board gives us a little bit more liberty to try to push golf around the corner and get him at ADP, not have to force taking him early. We'd get really unlucky if one of these guys, they all have one or two quarterbacks already and pretty elite quarterbacks, right? So I noticed Mahomes was going to the 3 drafter. The 2 drafters got Lamar and Burrow. The odds he wants golf in this build pretty low. And then even Josh Allen with an unstacked golf, I think is not very attractive. So I feel like, go ahead and pull the trigger on Caleb there, secure one of our stacks. Worst case scenario, we don't get golf. We've got another out with McConkey that we could get later, or we could go with a 3 QB build and, feel good about that. I think the amount of QB like draft capital in this kind of tournament with just going Caleb and golf could work. You could get really unlucky with a bye week because they're both in the same division, so that could kind of hurt you potentially. So then, in general, I also like stacking up your first drafted wide receiver, whether it's in the first round or second round or third round, trying to prioritize their QB to get that stack. Because how many times I think a Lad McConkey team can definitely win without Herbert, but having them together just gives you one more kind of, I think, combo bet. And because it's pre-draft, I really do like leaning into some certainty rather than just leaving it all as a mixed bag of, what could happen, a huge 20 pick parlay kind of deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I lean that way as well. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So Goff does fall to us. Is there anyone else here that just really stands out here that we would want to take over him and just not go? I don't really.
I feel pretty good about our running backs. Getting Travion was, I think, a really good move because now we feel safe that we don't have to grab one here. We're kind of in the RB3 range, and then Warren would be fun if we didn't have Laporta already. I need to get more Warren on some other teams.
Yeah, let's go Goff. I think there's no one else there that's just screaming a value there, but I feel like I need to push it. So
Yeah, and now we've secured our DJ Moore stack with Caleb Williams. We got Jared Goff with not only Gibbs, but JMO and Laporta. So this is kind of the anti-Amon Ra team build. Could be what you need.
yeah, I mean, and whatever, Gibbs and JMO can combine for what, 60 points in a game or something with Goff, and
Oh yeah.
you can definitely see the scenarios where that plays out. So
The other thing, that I can sell myself on with JMO is he's kind of like a one target, 40-yard bomb touchdown. Can give you a solid flex play when he doesn't need a lot of volume. If Gibbs is, carrying the ball a bunch, getting some of those targets, and then obviously Amon-Ra is going to eat. Yes, he has his ups and downs. As we saw last year, there's weeks where Amon-Ra puts up single digit points. But I think one of the things that makes me feel better about spending a lot of draft capital up front on a guy like JMO is that he really just needs one play to get you to go from, not hitting your lineup to being in your flex for the week, which could be nice.
yeah, I like the way we've been playing this so far. I think pretty flexible throughout the rest of the draft. Especially getting our 2 quarterbacks right now. So yeah, like you said, we can go 2 QBs if nothing really makes sense, or we can do the 3 if it really plays out well. Yes, I definitely have a couple guys.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say Scatabo would have been really nice.
Yeah, are you in on Scatabo?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think Ferris was hyping me up on him as well. I just think, yeah, very fantasy friendly skill set. I think the NFL is probably gonna like him in the draft, so I think definitely can see him going in the second round or at worst third round. And yeah, I mean, whatever, big catches passes. That's my favorite type of running back, and I think he's a really good value where he's going right now.
So I think I want to definitely get some of your mix in on this next pick, because I'm kind of leaning Herbert, and then just it gives us a complete stop at QB. We feel really safe and good. At the same time, we can try to push him. We could grab a Jordan Mason or a Swift. We might need a receiver. We only got 4, and we're in round 10. We could get Mims, who has a lot of touchdown bomb upside. Bateman's kind of similar. What do you think?
I kind of lean Mason, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
pretty
do that.
high on him. I think I want pieces of good offenses, and obviously Aaron Jones, 30 years old. So
Yep.
uh, I they could draft a running back, probably a later guy though. So they traded for Mason. I think that's pretty good news for him.
Sweet. I'm in. When I heard, I don't know if it was coach speak or if it was their another personnel guy for them. Somebody was saying, yeah, kind of referencing, and I can't quote it, but referencing that Aaron Jones wasn't the answer at the goal line, wasn't the answer for them, and they wanted to give Jordan Mason a crack at, being a red zone back for them, or being a guy that can get them the ball, get the ball in for them when they need to, and they're down there on the goal line. So that to me was pretty intriguing. I think in a half point PPR format like this, it's heavily touchdown dependent. Running backs can get hot. Teams want to ride the hot hand. Maybe Jordan Mason becomes more than a 1B. Maybe he overtakes the role. Aaron Jones could miss time. I've also liked Aaron Jones at a lot of points in his career. He's a player that I've been a fan of, but it's hard to call. It's hard to call when the end of the career starts to really rear its ugly head, especially for a guy that was so productive last season and kind of held down the role. They had a hard time finding an RB2, an NFL RB2 for the Vikings. They tried at I don't know if they ever gave Ty Chandler a fair crack, but with
Really.
Cam Akers trying to get some touches last year, they just really couldn't find the guy they needed. So maybe Jordan Mason fills that for them. And yeah, I think people are pretty high on Jordan Mason. I've never seen anyone not like that pick. Everyone in the chat seems to like him, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I just think he's good running back. Doesn't really catch passes, but yeah, goal line, touchdown upside, good offense. I'm willing to make that bet in this range. Would have definitely preferred Scatabo if he would have fallen to us, but
Yeah, I think I would have too. I need to get my Scatabo exposure up. I don't know how it's gotten so low. It's a guy that I've been aware of. I'll go back to the college football playoffs. Texas was playing Arizona State, and like Scatabo took over, like commanded and was the engine of his whole offense, was throwing touchdowns, was catching touchdowns, running touchdowns in, just, doing it all, leaving it all on the field, literally puking on the sideline. And I was like, I knew in that moment that NFL coaches and scouts and personnel were going to see that kind of like heart and display of just athleticism, and that was going to get him drafted alone. So someone's going to reach up and grab this guy. I don't know if he's, maybe the third round is the right spot for him. That's probably where I see him mocked the most. And being such a good running back class, he could end up there, but you never know where this guy could go. He could end up in a smash spot like the Chiefs or somewhere else that's really attractive. We see his ADP skyrocket up 2 or 3 rounds easily, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even if he gets drafted to a spot where they have a running back ahead of him, if he's just a handcuff that gets some standalone work, I think that's still a good price right there as well. So,
so bummer Herbert goes, but I think it's actually good for us. We really actually need to pivot back to wide receiver. Bateman's there. Trey Harris is there. I don't know if you're in or out on Trey Harris.
Yeah, can you tab to wide receiver just so we can see who else is there?
Quinton, a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, probably Trey Harris.
Yeah.
Not super high on Bateman, especially if we don't have Lamar.
Right.
I really like Trey Harris. He's been, like, Higgins has kind of overtaken him as the sexy big wide receiver right now in mocks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like Trey Harris's profile better. So we'll see what happens in the draft, but I still think Harris is live for second or third round draft capital, and yeah, I'm willing to bet on that profile here. So
he's a guy I kind of want to know more about. So he was playing with Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. He seemed to be very productive. We've seen players come out of that offensive scheme do really well. I think back to like a DK Metcalf. And yeah, I don't know. I think Trey Harris is an intriguing name. He kind of doesn't get a ton of attention. I think it was Ian Harditz or somebody today posted on Twitter, and they did one of those X and Y access charts for the receiver group. Pretty much all the receivers in this rookie class were huddled around kind of this middle area, kind of on a linear path, but then way out as an outlier. I think it was zone coverage and man coverage. And it was something about maybe yards or, something around, but it was kind of showing a man versus zone. And Trey Harris was like the outlier in that. And so anytime I kind of see something where a player in a rookie class is an outlier around his cohort and his, like, the guys that are in the class, I always try to pay attention to, like, what does that mean? And what can I take from that? But just a little bit more Trey Harris propaganda there.
Yeah, I mean, I know I think his yards per route run was absolutely bananas as well.
Right.
And yeah, it's kind of weird to project the Ole Miss guys into the NFL because they run such a wacko scheme. But I mean, yeah, big man, run, go fast, score touchdowns. That's kind of where I'm leaning with Trey Harris. So.
And at least with his level of production, Higgins had some production as well, so nothing against him. Ao Manor had decent production, but I think of those kind of maybe 3 receivers, whether it's right or wrong, in a similar kind of maybe X alpha play style, big guy on the outside. But I can't really say that with 100% certainty. Just something I kind of feel like, those are more comparable players. One of them should hit. Who knows which one it is.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Yeah, Trey Harris just seems okay. We're on the clock here.
So Tootin and Sampson just went. QJ's still there. I mean, it's we don't have Herbert, but it is kind of a team stack to get him with McCollum.
Yeah, I'm fine going QJ here. Honestly,
be interesting, right? Unless you have any strong feelings about Kincaid or these other running backs in this range. I don't love the running backs in this range. We could do Giddens and Harvey a little bit early, but those guys will probably be there later.
Let's go QJ.
Yeah.
We have the lad, you said, the team bet for LAC even without Herbert. And he's definitely a guy that can give you spike weeks as we saw last year. Yeah, I mean, not my favorite pick, but
oh, sorry, you're saying?
No, I think it's a good pick in this range. Not like my favorite guy, but I think with our build right there with those two rookies, I think it makes sense.
100%. Yeah. I think in a similar way, having another veteran on this team after we just took 2 rookie wide receivers maybe gives us a little bit more um, safety. If one of these guys for some reason Egbuka doesn't hit or Trey Harris, can't do anything, doesn't pay off his round 11 ADP. QJ has shown at least last year that he's got something. Maybe if he corrects the drops, he's got even something more. So I know some people, some of the guys out there are bigger on as fans of QJ. I definitely liked him coming into the league more than I like him now. But
I
we
know. I
got
know.
the
I think
correlation.
emo Cowboy is big on QJ. Maybe I might be misappropriating him, but
Whoo, that's a crazy stat Hartman's got. You see that about Trey Harris?
yeah, 5.18 yards per route run overall. Like that's
Yeah,
pretty bonkers for a guy. I mean, he's big and ran fast, so that's nice.
yeah. And Little Miss Brady is also saying year 3 breakout. I remember back in the days in fantasy when a year 3 breakout was like the expected thing. This is
Yeah,
like 10 years ago now, but that, back then you would definitely target guys in your redraft leagues to have a year 3 breakout at receiver. I think the league's a little bit faster paced now, and players are coming out of college with more of a pro ready style, or just for some reason they're just kind of catching on quicker. Maybe there's more asked of them in college to kind of fit those NFL schemes. Also, maybe the NFL is leaning more into some of the college schemes, and that also can
definitely.
benefit them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, let's see here. What is
There's no obvious pick for us at QB, and
is
this kind of that QB middle range, but our
is Jalen Noel still on the board? I didn't see if he went or not.
he is,
He's a
and
way
this is,
later ADP, so maybe we can push it.
although let me just do a quick check. Our next pick's going to be right around 164. He might still be there.
Okay.
Ford,
Yeah,
Gibbons, Harvey.
let's go Ford.
Okay,
Yeah, I like him on this team where um I feel like, yeah, we still have Travion, so he might start a little slow. Mason, if he's right, the not getting as much standalone work, at least gives us some early season production with Ford. I think, yeah, they're probably going to draft someone round 2, round 3, but Ford can still give you some standalone production, which I think on this team makes sense.
right. I've never been a big Ford guy. I think he came out of Cincinnati, and then he was somewhat productive when Chubb went down. I think that was the season, right? He filled that role. He had somewhat of a role last year too, and he's not bad. At this price tag, it's definitely works for me. I've heard some people being more in on Ford, and then the kind of concept that he's an early season guy can help some of our other rookie picks and complement them, like you were saying, and get us to the other half of the season in a good spot to advance. And then, who knows what his role is at that point, but a guy like Travion could be taking off at that point.
Yeah, I mean Henderson, he's a good pass, or I mean Ford is a good pass catcher, and he's pretty explosive. He'll give you some long runs, and so yeah, I'm not expecting him to be the starter, but at this cost, yeah, I don't think he really needs to be, and just with our team build, like you said. So, let's see what falls back around to us here if we get our guy. Also, guy I was interested in there was DJ Giddens.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just don't know what's going to happen with his draft capital and everything, and not as good of a fit on this team particularly.
I've gotten a lot of Giddens. Another guy I would like to get more of is RJ Harvey, actually. Um, really interesting. So some of the picks I'm going to highlight for us, and let me know if there's any other positions you want to look at. Obviously, we can get Knoll here. There's also Dowdle, just barely past ADP. Algier kind of in the similar range. Martinez might still be there with our next pick. I think we
I'll
can go
I'll,
Knoll here.
Yeah, I was going to say that's my lean because I think there's this big grouping of running backs that I view pretty similarly. So I'd rather just get
100%.
the guy, the profile that I like in Noel. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think he's pretty exciting. I like him more than Higgins, straight up guys on the same team. Just yeah, super explosive, really good route runner. And I think he could go higher than we think. I think some team could fall in love with him. So probably round
Definitely.
3, but could sneak into the late second.
I saw, I want to say it was Dane Brugler's The Beast. I've been trying to read more and more of it over the last week, and it's one of the pieces that I'm using as I get ready for the draft coming up. I want to say Jalen Noel is ranked ahead of Jaden Higgins as a prospect for him. They're pretty close, but I think that's how he's got it set up. And so I've seen people on both sides of it, but look at the kind of difference in ADP value you get between pick 124 and 164. If I'm thinking of like a auction draft style, maybe a pick in round 11, especially in a 20 round format, maybe a round 11 is maybe a $2 or $3 bid versus we're already almost at, this is pretty much a $1 bid at this point. So there's a slight difference, but it's pretty significant that, 4 rounds of a difference when prospects are maybe the same tier.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Price adjusted, definitely prefer Noel. And yeah, he's a little I don't think I was the first person to say this because I watched so much content and everything, but he's a little Jaden Reedy for me. I think
Oh,
JJ Zacharyson is pretty high on him.
okay.
Jacob Sanderson, two guys I uh, kind of trust their takes on. They're both super high on him, and
Oh, that's good.
yeah, I feel like he could have yeah, I mean, not necessarily exactly the same player archetype. I think he's a little bit more downfield as opposed to Yak as Reed, but yeah, pretty in on him. Definitely would be like double the field, triple the field on him if I could draft, obviously. But
That's an exciting comp. Jaden Reed. I think that's interesting to hear that both of those guys, Jacob and JJ, are higher on Jalen Noel. So that kind of gets me excited about taking him, getting some more exposure to him. I'm a sucker for the rookies and the sophomores. It just is what it is. I can be sold on them so easily. So it just takes a little bit of either a really nice put together highlight clip or some interesting stats, or someone who, like you said, someone who I really trust their opinion, who's doing the research, that they are higher than consensus on someone for me to get real excited. One of the picks that we missed out on, but I think it's fine, was Komet, who seems to be kind of falling in ADP. And some people are saying the Bears are going to look to draft a tight end. This could be a spot where we lean back into tight end. Brenton Strange is there, kind of right at ADP, although we're not super correlated. Otherwise, we've got Martinez, who could be a fun pick. Algier, Allen, what do you think?
I like Martinez or Algier. I'll let you pull the trigger, whatever one you want to go with.
I want to do Martinez. I'm excited about the surrounding cast that was around Cam Ward, the Miami offense that was so productive and efficient last year and kind of surprised everyone. I still think they should have been a playoff team. Um, I'm trying to figure out, is it Cam Ward elevating? Is it the surrounding cast elevating Cam Ward? Is it a little bit of both? I think it's a little bit of both, although I wouldn't be surprised to see Damian Martinez, Arroyo, Restrepo kind of have a tougher time transitioning to the NFL, where Cam Ward is more pro ready. Um, but at the same, so I'm dabbling into some of those players. I'm above exposure in Martinez, Arroyo. I don't think I have very much Restrepo, but that's after I saw the combine, I don't think I've clicked him once since. Or maybe it wasn't a combine; it was his pro
Uh,
day.
yeah.
But
He was injured and then he ended up running like a 4.82 or something crazy. Yeah, I like Martinez. He's getting a lot of buzz, probably round 3. But yeah, I think he could be a touchdown guy. He's a big back. I think he's like 230 or something like that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, Algier is purely contingent bet at this point with Bijan. So I think Martinez at least gives you a little bit of juice.
That could have been smart. Sometimes I like to take the second receiver, like a T, when I get Justin Jefferson, or I like to take an Algier when I get Gibbs over Bijan, and kind of maybe big brain it a little bit too much. Not that that would have to, break that way, but one way that maybe Gibbs finishes ahead of Bijan is he plays more games. Algier, therefore, is going to play more games than you'd expect, and kind of maybe starts a few. So that's something we could have gone into, but I like the way we're going with rookies here. I think this team's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, we're close to the draft. Let's have some fun and take some rookies. We have been and we'll continue to.
100%.
So yeah, do you want to go tight end here?
I feel like structurally it'd be good. We're getting Ertz a little bit past ADP. I think he's stable. I like connecting to Jaden Daniels. Otherwise, it'd be Hunter Henry for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I like either one. Probably Henry's ADP is a little bit farther back. I kind of like Henry more.
Let's do it. I'm good with either one. I guess I don't have a ton of Ertz. I think I was slow to get on to Ertz as the contest opened. I want to say his ADP was really high when it started, like 200 plus,
Yeah,
if
it
I
was
remember
really.
correctly.
It was like what 200? Yeah, something close to that.
Yeah, one of the tight ends I regret kind of taking so much of was Dalton Schultz. I've drafted him from pick one, maybe let's say 60 or 70, all the way to now he's at pick 200. And I don't know, maybe the community knows something that I don't, but it seems like that is signaling the Texans almost certainly spending a decent amount of draft capital at tight end. At the same time, we've seen tight ends come into the Texans over the years, Cade Stover, et cetera, and they have never really hit at tight end from their rookie selections. They've had a really rough go at that. They're not really good at scouting it, or Dalton Schultz isn't a pushover, but I don't know. He's not really getting a lot of love.
No, I mean, I don't think I think he's a fine click there. Like whatever. Obviously the Texans weren't what we were expecting for them to be last year, but yeah, right. CJ Stroud led offense. Right now it's just Kirk and Nico Collins there, so he's the default de facto third option there. But yeah, whatever. Maybe the Texans surprises this year and he gets some touchdowns. I don't mind him here. I definitely prefer Henry
Mm-hmm.
and Ertz, but I mean right after that, I mean Gesicki, Schultz. Gesicki's kind of a similar type bet as that, right? Just
Right.
bing some touchdowns. Maybe Chase or Higgins goes down and you get a few spike weeks. That's really all you're hoping for. So
I agree. We're in a really good spot. So far we've drafted a 2-5-7-2 build. Caleb stacked with DJ Moore, Jared Goff. We've got three other lines with him. Our running back room is Gibbs, Henderson. I mean, that's a fire start in my opinion. And then Mason, also kind of a favored name right now. Ford, Martinez. Wide receivers, we've got 7 with Ladd, Moore, JMO, Egbuka, Trey Harris, QJ, and Knoll, who we just got. It's actually been a little bit. It's been about 30 picks since we took a wide receiver. And then Laporta and Henry. So, I mean, we could stop at 2 QBs. We could stop at 2 tight ends. We could get 3 of one of them. I'm kind of thinking this could be a spot to grab another receiver and then be close to done there. Or if there's a running back we feel like we need, because we did kind of get some middle guys, but now we're in this back end era where there's
yeah,
some good
what
picks.
let's see. Brashard Smith is getting some hype. Otherwise,
10
Royal.
seconds.
How do you feel about Royals? I'm not super hype on him, but I see some people are high on him. Where do you lean there?
Let's grab Royals. Lean into these upside rookies. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 on this squad, so pretty nice compliment. I think Royals is interesting. I don't know a lot about him. I've just seen him in some people's ranks higher than I would expect. So not a player I know a ton about, but happy to draft an upside rookie in this range.
Yeah, and then I think a lot of these running backs at this point, like between now and round 20, they're not too much different. I do
Right.
like Brashard Smith, rather push the running back there. So
the running backs I've kind of made it a priority to mix them around, get some variability with my selections, not stick with one guy too long. I've seen certain running backs kind of up in the ranks a month ago who are now back down, and vice versa. So that's I'm cool with throwing those around at the end for the rookie guys, especially. Another reason I liked getting Royals there is I don't really see any other players we'd want to stack on Detroit or Chicago for this team. And if we're really going with a 2 QB build, we don't have to I don't think we have to aim for any of these other late QBs to stack them up in a weird way with a late Daniel Jones or Russell Wilson with one of the late wide receivers, like maybe a Slayton or, Mitchell could be if he was there. I don't know if that's very strong. We've already made our team around, these core picks. And so I think what's good to do is to keep taking swings on these rookies because we feel so good about our base that we've established. At the same time, it is kind of interesting to look at some of these rising rookie QBs. Jackson Dart is getting steamed up a little bit. His drumbeat has gotten stronger and stronger, right?
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I think we can go 2 if we want to. Let's see what falls to us. But I think Dart is looking like a lock for the first round. So whatever, maybe he might just be unstacked, but he could luck into being paired with one of the receivers we took. But yeah, I'm not really. I want to be like water at this part in the draft with kind of the build we have and just see what falls to us. So
nice. Speaking of, we'll be on the clock with our next pick. It's going to be our 18th pick. And then after I make this, we can check in and see how Little Miss Brady's team's coming along. I've been kind of keeping that out of the corner of my eye. One pick that he made I really liked was Kyle Williams at pick 185. There's been, I know Cody from Off the Schneid was high on Kyle Williams all offseason, was definitely kind of ahead of that one. We saw, I want to say it was Chris Sims' list come out maybe a week or 10 days ago that had Kyle Williams as wide receiver 2. So kind of a polarizing name and maybe a guy that would be seen kind of more and more of our other people's mocks if it wasn't maybe some off the field concerns or character concerns. I'm not 100% sure what that's about. What do you think we do with this one before clock runs out? Should we take Dart?
I kind of feel like we just take Dart. Yeah, and then just hammer. I say we go 2 tight ends with if we go 3 QBs.
Yeah,
2 tight ends. I feel fine with the 2 that we have. And yeah, just get some running back and wide receiver to finish us off.
Makes total sense to me. Yeah, Dart's a fun, interesting pick. We've technically stacked him up with his college buddy Trey Harris. So that's
exactly
what does that do for us. But let's check in and see what Little Miss Brady's got going on. He started off his first pick with Nico Collins, followed that up with AJ Brown and Garrett Wilson. In my opinion, that's a super strong start. I mean, last year a 1-2 turn pick, last year a first round pick, last year a 1-2 turn pick. Anytime you can get 3 receivers that have been year over year thought of as a top pick, you've got a good looking squad. He grabbed Hampton. I noticed that early on. He made a comment in the chat about it. I think that's a great spot to go. And then he really anchors down there and goes Debo, Ridley, Burden. So he gets some more veterans, some rookie upside. Jalen Warren falls to him. Jalen Warren's been falling a little bit. I sometimes see him go at the end of the 8th round. I think on his team, it works really well as his RB2. He reaches up for Fields. Fields is not a player I've been getting a ton of, but in this kind of build where he's got so many different wide receivers, I could see, not necessarily stacking them up, but grabbing a guy like Fields, take some pressure off having to stack. Unfortunately, I think he would have tried to or liked to have gotten CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud goes very early at pick 107, so he gets sniped on a Stroud pick that he probably would have liked instead of Njoku or Tank Bigsby. But then he grabs Tootin, who was in our queue, which was nice. He gets Cam Ward late, so he's been kind of saving his QB with, he gets Milrow a bit early too. So he kind of had to fight his way back at QB after getting sniped. And then he gets Harold Fannin, who was also in our queue. I think is a good pick.
Yeah, so he's got Fields, Milrow, and
Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfectly cromulent quarterback room right there. I think Milroe got invited to the first to the NFL draft for the first round, so I think
Yeah,
there's definitely some when there's smoke, there may be fire there for him, and he definitely has a break fantasy profile. So yeah, that would have been another guy I would have been interested in if we didn't. He obviously went before, but him or Dart are definitely intriguing options here. If you just need a third quarterback or want to shoot for some upside there.
totally agree. And then he threw out a little comment. He said, yes, Kyle Williams and Cam Ward had played together previously and could be a fun reunion on the Titans for them. And we've seen that year over year. Guys like Bo Nix and what's his name? Go to the same team. Names escaping me, but the wide receiver for
Troy Franklin. Yeah.
Troy Franklin, of course, from Oregon. I went ahead and grabbed Hunter there. He's
Yeah.
a guy that I want to get more exposure to. Jordan James goes next. Another guy that's kind of nice, but I think I have a little bit more of. I've got plenty of Blue. I do think Blue's actually a good prospect. Uh, maybe a Jahmyr Gibbs light or a Travion Henderson light. But I'm also the Texas homer, so I got to mix it up. I went Hunter there, first team All SEC. I think he played 3 years, maybe 4 at Alabama, or not Alabama, sorry, Auburn, and very productive. And so I like what I'm seeing out of Hunter and kind of where his ADP is going.
So we are at what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs,
Mm-hmm.
8
3,
wide
6, 8 soon.
receivers. What do you think for this last one? Do we go? I think we go running back or wide receiver. Do you have a lean here? I kind of feel like wide receiver, but
I think wide receiver could work too because we almost got 4 wide receivers in our first 75. We got our fourth at pick 77. But we do have a good amount of rookies. So we're kind of, maybe we could increase our floor a little bit, taking one more wide out. I think we're definitely good at tight end. The fact that they're in different conferences gives me a little bit more confidence, whether that's right or wrong, that they won't have the same bye week. But at the end of the day, if the tight end has a bye week, it's not going to ruin your team. If it was meant to win, it would win anyways. The QB situation, I think obviously we're good on that. So we could maybe if there's a perfect fit running back, we could take one more. But I'm leaning wide receiver, like you said.
yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't mind Lloyd if we do want to go that way. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, we do running back Martinez and Hunter is a little shaky. I'm just trying to think what player here has the most upside. I do like Lloyd.
Savion's fun.
Yes, don't mind Savion.
Oh, Parker Washington, I think, can be a fun pick for this
Okay,
team.
sure. Yeah, we can do that.
I saw some news today that he's projected to start in 3 wide receiver sets and potentially is going to be getting targets ahead of Brenton Strange, who obviously is a tight end, but year 3 breakout gives us some veteran presence. Mix it up a little bit. We're
Sure.
pretty concentrated on a few teams, but a Parker Washington, a guy that's been a kind of last round pick for a couple years, but we
Yeah.
saw some good things, right? He had a good game or two when Christian Kirk went down.
Yeah, he was solid when needed to be. When he was in the lineup, he had a couple. I just drawing a bunch of targets out of the slot. I think he had like a 10 catch game or something like that. So yeah, don't mind it at all. There's like you said, some news today that was glowing on him. So yeah, for 20th round, willing to take that shot.
Very nice. And we'll see a little Miss Brady did his team up with Jaden Blue and Rocket Raheem Sanders. Yeah, I think this squad, I'll go out on a little limb. I think this could be in the super team range. What I classify as a super team, and this is my own definition just for fun, but it's a top quintile team. So a top 20% team of all the teams that get drafted. So a high likelihood to advance, a high likelihood to be correlated and smash in the playoff weeks. I'm going to review this team. We'll go through it one last time. We had a 3-6-9-2 build. We got Caleb Williams, single stack with DJ Moore, Jared Goff, double stacked with Laporta and JMO, and then we've also got Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's a pretty nice lean into the Lions, team that Bindles is a fan of, and I think is one of those high-powered offenses you'd love to have as much exposure to as possible most of the time. Jackson Dart, literal dart throw. Does he go to the Saints, the Steelers? We'll find out, but that's exciting to see where that one ends up. Running backs, like I said, Gibbs, Henderson, Mason. Those three alone, very exciting names. I don't know a single person that is out on any of these three players. Some people maybe are lower on Henderson, but some people have him as RB1, RB2 in this draft class. So a lot of good looking running backs. Ford, Martinez, Hunter kind of rounds it out. So nothing to hate on there. With our wide receivers, McConkey, Moore, Williams. That's the base of what we're building around. We would have liked to maybe get Justin Herbert, maybe for a true pure super team, completely stacked up to the gills. We would have had Herbert with McConkey and QJ. At the same time, if someone takes your quarterback, we have that lean into the Chargers as it is. So maybe that's all you need there. And we got the skill position players that will get us through: Egbuka, Harris, Knoll, Royals, and Washington. A lot of young talent. Laporta, Henry.
Yeah, I think I'd probably give it like a B to B plus ish range. Yeah, I like it. I think yeah, running back, like if Henderson is that guy, I think this really could create a super team. And then we just need to hit on a few of our wide receiver picks, rookie wide receiver picks, and I think this team could be absolutely cooking. So
yeah, it's a good looking one. Couple questions from the chat. I know it's getting late on the East Coast, so I won't keep you too long. We'll wrap it up real soon. Mike hit him with the gritty. Legend wants to know Savion Williams takes, and I'll turn this one over to Bindles. I don't really have a great Savion take, but I know Bindles is a strong dynasty player and might have some insights for you.
yeah, I'm not super in, honestly. I would be in if he was playing running back. If I knew he was playing running back, I probably would be a lot higher. He reminds me a little bit of CPAT, of LaVisca Chenault, that kind of build, like very good athlete. So yeah, not super in on him right now. I think you can take him in the 20th and just hope he kind of falls to a team that gives him a good role or can utilize him properly. But I do think there's a lot of risk there just as a wide receiver. I don't think he's polished enough to really put it together in the league from that perspective. So we'll see. We'll see where he's announced on draft day, if he's a running back or a wide receiver.
Yeah.
If he goes to a team where we kind of trust the offensive system and we think they can use him creatively, then it'll be wheels up. So
I think some of the highlights I've seen, and I don't know why I didn't catch a lot of TCU games. I've got some family that went to TCU, and I stay pretty aware of the Texas college teams in general, but I didn't catch. I wasn't super aware of Savion. The highlights I've seen, I think he's either taking wildcat snaps or he's getting the handoff in the shotgun, and then making some big runs. So an intriguing player. And like you said, landing spot will be interesting. Mike is pretty excited to see him going to go to the Bills. And then Mike also comes out of the woodwork to hate on the Mason pick. I love it. Love to see it. And appreciate you all for being here tonight and drafting with Bindles and I. Super fun. I think I would call this a mini super team or a close to a super team. That means we're going to have to try it again real soon, Bindles, whether it's a big board or Best Ball Mania. You're welcome back anytime and we can get back after it. And any closing thoughts, my man?
Yeah, bro. Thanks. Glad I could finally hop on. Thanks for having me. Definitely. If I have a free night, just let me know if you need a guest, and I'm always willing to hop on with you. And I will be doing some more basketball content, some more dynasty content. If you guys want to kind of talk through whether it's dynasty trades or share your teams, I have a Discord, which is linked on my YouTube and on my Twitter at Bindles90. So yeah, go follow me there. Go subscribe to me, and definitely will be hopping back on with Chris later on in the season.
100%. Subscribe to Bindles' channel. Subscribe to my channel. Follow us both on Twitter, and we'll have Bindles on real soon. I'm gonna leave y'all with a quick. I don't know that most people have seen this, but I've showed it at least once on stream so far. I was gonna play it if we got Cam Scadaboo, but we didn't get to pick him. But this is my Cam Scadaboo hype mix. We're gonna close on this, and then I'll play the outro, and we'll catch y'all real soon. I mean, how does that not get you like pumped to draft that man, right? It took me so long just to narrow that down to like a 45-second, which is already way too long. I got to narrow it down again, but there's so many highlights of him busting tackles, breaking loose, catching balls out of the backfield, like a lot of swing passes. I'm more of usually like, a data guy, but that one really gets me.
Yeah, dude, that was really nice. I like your intros was really good too, and just the overall aesthetic and everything. I love it.
But overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like actions speak louder than words.